Welcome back, Star Wars Armada Maniacs. Today we are going to take a look at Wave 4, the Interdictor, and the Liberty expansion packs. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, so here they are. Big Wave 4 coming at you hot. I'm Baer, and we are going to go deep on these new capital ships. We got one large ship, one medium ship, which doesn't make any sense because you really can't tell which one's which just by judging the size of the ships there. But I assure you, they are not the same size when it comes to base. So let's take a closer look at these bad boys. Now, it's cool that they released this all together. I think the street date is today. What is it, Thursday or something? I don't even know anymore. Thursday the 11th? We'll go with that. Sounds about right. So, the new ship, it actually looks pretty cool. This is the, if you played Star Wars Battlefront, this was in a lot of the skies, actually, of the game, and a lot of folks were like, yo, when are we getting that for Armada? Well, it turns out they had plans all along to give it to us. So here it is right here, and it's really well done. I mean, it's got this little like desert camouflage kind of styling, and of course the Delta Wing formation kind of thing right there, right? And then you flip it over, and it's detailed on the back, you know, a little engine glow. Eventually, we'll do a tutorial on here on how to airbrush that and make that look tighter on your ships there. And you know, the underneath is very well done. I think they knocked this one out of the park quality-wise. Now this goes on a, which base is this? This, yeah, I didn't even know. I was bluffing you. I didn't even know which base it went on. This goes on a large-size base, so basically the same as, you know, your Mon Cannons and your well, technically this is a Mon Cannon and your Star Destroyer 2. Yeah, so here we go right here. And there it is. So kind of give you an idea of scale and size for planning out your maneuvers and such. It definitely is about the size of a Mon Cannon, like lengthwise, but you know, it's got them little wings right there. So coming in hot with the rest of the set is some more upgrade cards. Now this has officially, we have, here's the game contents. We've got all the normal plastic ship stuff, speed dial, command dial, ship tokens, 14 upgrade cards, and 24 assorted tokens. Retail on this is $39.99, so it's basically double of the flotillas, which are coming in hot at $20 each. Here's your little rules thing. Now, you can get a contain token. It doesn't come standard. You have to take a title to get it on the ship. And then there's the rundown list of all your components, including all the pieces and the cards themselves right there. Then we jump into the cards, which we've got, of course, 2 ship cards and then all those great upgrade cards. So it's going to take a while to get through them, but fortunately, some of these are ones we've seen in the past, so you definitely gonna know, and we're gonna skip over those because we feel like we've done a few of these unboxings. So here's, I've already punched out a lot of the cards, but you can see you got the defensive tokens, your normal jersey numbers, your command dials, and things like that. So, and your speed as well. So there's that. And then we're gonna jump into the cards right here. So let's zoom in on these bad boys. We kind of got a little far away, and there we are. So looking at the Victory, or not the Victory, this is the Liberty. Got 2 different versions, basically varying output here. You got the Star Cruiser and the Battle Cruiser. Remember, the Mon Cannons used these things as basically, you know, their Carnival cruise lines until the big bad Empire came and tried to take them out, try to take out their planet, which I don't think they ever did, actually. So you got 2 braces, which are the big things to note here: 8 hull, 2 braces, 1 redirect. However, no ECM slot down here at the bottom, right? You've got your officer slot, you've got your weapon slot, you've got your support dudes, then you've got an ion, and of course 2 turbo lasers, which are the same for each. So there's no defensive retrofit here, no chance to get ECM or anything like that, but you do have 2 braces, which traditionally that's what people go after. Like, well, I'm I'm going to say you can't use your brace. Well, alright, I'm going to ECM my brace and use it anyway. Suck on that. Well, now you're like, oh, well, I guess I can't use my ECM then. Oh, or I guess I can't use my brace then. Oh, well, I'll use my other brace. But there's other stuff out there now, and we're going to see there's an upgrade card to actually let you get multiple accuracy, so you could be blocking down multiple braces. That could be a problem, but it's a little bit harder to do, I feel like. So you got 3 commands, 2 squadron, 4 engineering on both of these. The only difference is your anti-squadron, which is 1 here, 2 here. Your maneuvers are pretty much the same. One speed is 1 yaw, 2 speed, only 1 yaw. 3 speed, a yaw all the way at 3 and all the way at the first one. So it's not as maneuverable on paper as you would think, but it turns out the ship is actually pretty maneuverable, and we'll get to that here shortly as well. The only difference in the front is 1 blue dice versus 1 red dice, depending on which one you go with. But hey, I don't know if you noticed it already, but there's 5 shields in the front. There's a devastating array of firepower, not the full 8 that the Imperials have, but a good 7 in the front arc for a rebel ship is kind of unheard of, I feel like. Now you got 3 on each side, which can be upgraded, of course, because you got 2 turbo lasers right here, so you can always take your extra, your extra shot upgrade if you want, or you could go something different, or you could do 2 turbo lasers. So that's kind of the drawback, or I guess the benefit to not having an ECM is you have double turbo lasers, I feel like. Now let's take a closer look at some of these upgrade cards and kind of get an idea, maybe jump inside the developers' brain pans a little bit on what exactly they were trying to do here. And of course my cards fell out of order, so I want to make sure we do this in an order that actually makes sense and we're not all scatterbrained about it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So coming up hot is engine techs, which we talked about this when we did the flotilla ones, and it turns out you cannot take these on a flotilla. Oh well, it was definitely worth a mention. I wasn't sure what they were, but they are the support. You cannot take them. You can only take officers on flotilla. Well, anyways, there's engine techs. You can take them on these, which of course gives you that extra 1 speed maneuver after you execute. So you can get these guys up to a speed 4, which could come in handy. And remember, they have 1 yaw at their speed 1. So you're going to get an extra click of yaw out of this too, which, I guess you could kind of do some more stuff with. So keep that in mind as we go on to talk about more things. Another card is Medical Team. Before you are dealt a face-up damage card with the crew trait, you may discard this card to discard that damage card. So that's kind of cool. You won't lose like maybe all your crew or something with life support failure, which is pretty devastating when it does happen. Then you've got Skilled First Officer, which I personally like. Before you reveal a command, you may discard this card to discard your top command dial. So not only does it cycle through your command dials, because now you get, if you have 3 command ship, you're blowing 1 command, then you're revealing the 2nd command, and now you only have 1 command in your stack. So it allows you to reset your stack too, I feel like. It's a lot of utility for 1 point, I feel like. Chart Officer. After you execute a maneuver, if you overlap an obstacle, you may discard this card instead of resolving the effects of the overlapping obstacle. Let me tell you what, for 2 points here, not taking a face-up damage sometimes could be pretty critical, I feel like, because, well, we all know you do get a face-up card, and generally they're super bad in this game. So for 2 points, another great piece of utility, I feel like. Is it worth sacrificing the slot? Well, I don't know. Depends on maybe what you're doing. Then we got General Crick's Matey making his debut in the game here. So we got whenever a friendly ship resolves a maneuver command, if it's spent a maneuver dial, it may increase 1 yaw value by 1. If it spent a yaw or a maneuver token, it may either change its speed or increase 1 yaw value by 1. So now you've got the ability to not only get an extra bump of speed and an extra yaw at that boost, at that special bonus, or that 4th speed or distance. Now you also get extra points of yaw. So now you're looking at almost being able to do a 90-degree turn if you do it right with the combo of this, with an extra 2 points of yaw. You could almost get straight up 90 degrees. So that's really interesting to see. That unlocks a lot of dangerous mechanics, I feel like, with the ship. Just because of the fact that you really need to always be pointed at your target. It's kind of like a claymore, always point towards the enemy, because you're going to get your sides rocked. Now, if you take a look, and we didn't really do this with the flotillas, you take a look at this arc, this firing arc right here, right? it's not as impressive as some of the Imperials, because if you take a look at it, this is actually an acute angle. It's less than 90, slightly less than 90. I would say that's maybe 80 degrees right there. Your sides, of course, well, that's the Rebel thing. That is definitely right close to 90, maybe slightly over 90. Either way, it's close enough. Same with that back arc there. So you may be slightly less here and slightly above, like maybe 95s all the way around right here. But either way, you still got a nice big juicy front arc that you always want to make sure you're trying to put towards the enemy, because at 5 shields and 2 on the sides, you're not going to be redirecting really to your side shields. I feel like you're just going to be taking the brunt of that on the front. Next up, we have the fire control team. During your resolve damage step, you may exhaust this card to resolve 1 additional critical effect. You cannot resolve the same critical effect twice, of course. So that's actually pretty huge, and the ability to there's a lot of stuff out there. Well, the new ships don't automatically come with contain, of course. The other large ships do. But that being said, you know, double crits could really do some work, and I feel like for 2 points on the weapon system, that might be pretty dope. Not sure what the upgrade slots are on any of the, I know it's probably don't have one on the Assault Frigate, but I'm not sure on the Star Destroyer, the Imperial Star Destroyer, or the Mon Cannon. I can't remember if they have one right off the top of my head. I don't think they do, or else I'd be taking like crazy stuff on them. But that being said, I think there's some play here for 2 points. I definitely think this is going to be something to look at doing. Also, another card to look at very closely is this Veteran Gunners. When attacking, you may exhaust the card to reroll all dice in your attack pool. Again, a great card for 2 points, or for 5 points. I feel like it's starting to get a little pricey, but it's definitely worth it in some builds. And then we've, let's see, let's keep going with the weapon system. We got quad turbo laser cannons, and this is the one I was talking about. When attacking, if at least 1 red dice face has a accuracy icon, you get to add another accuracy icon to your attack pool, which helps getting through dealing with the interdictors and the liberties, I feel like, because it's giving you those double accuracies. So even if they had an ACM, or perhaps, you know, the double brace, it kind of busts through that and lets you kind of start dictating the terms of battle with your incoming fire. MS1 ion cannons, a blue critical, choose and exhaust one of the defender's upgrade cards. And that's a great combo, again, with that fire control team, resolving a blue crit as well as the normal critical effect that you might be able to do. Spinal armament isn't the best for all rebel ships, but I feel like it could do the Lord's work on some of those Imperial ships out there. The battery armaments for your front and rear hull zones are increased by 1 red dice. So obviously not for the assault frigates. Definitely good for the Liberty, probably even more better for the Imperial class Star Destroyer, I feel like. High capacity ion turbines is a modification for the ion. Battery armaments in your left and right hull zones are increased by 1 blue dice. Now, again, I don't have my other cards on me, and I can't tell you if the assault frigate can take that, but if the assault frigate has an ion slot, which I'm not sure it does, that would be pretty baller, I feel like. Otherwise, it might be worth taking on the Liberty, I feel like, because then now you start beefing up. Now you get an extra dice from the ion slot. You can get an extra dice from the turbo laser slot as well. So now you're starting to put out 5 dice. Throw an Akbar into the mix. Yo, you got freaking little Death Blossom going right here with this victory. It doesn't matter if you're in the front or the side. Something gets by you, it's getting blasted with a volley of 5 right off the bat, plus Akbar. So now you're like, what is that, 7? 7 dice out of a side? I think that could be a little bananas, I feel like. So maybe check my math on that, but I think I'm doing my math right there. And that's kind of crazy now that I think about it. Now, we've only got 3 upgrade cards left, and those are the ship titles. So let's just say we saved the best for last, I suppose. So you got Mon Cannon. I want to say Mon Kraken, but it's Mon Cannon, unfortunately. I like this one. When attacking a ship, the defender cannot spend more than 1 defensive token. So your days of relying heavily on your defensive tokens are starting to go away with all this craziness. Liberty, flight command. If you spend a flight token, you may activate 1 additional squadron. Very cool stuff right there. And then, of course, you got the Endeavour, which gives you at the start of the first round, you get that contained defensive token added to your stack there. So that's the only way to get to contain for the Liberty classes right here. And that's it for this one. So we're about halfway through. let's take a look at the Interdictor. Now that is wow, where did that come from? That's just a crazy ship. Very, very interesting build here. You know, it's got, well, I mean, there's so much to talk about. It's in the Rebels show now, but also, you know, it had its start in the expanded universe. You know, Grand Admiral Thrawn, this is his brainchild here. Where's our Grand Admiral Thrawn card? Is expanded universe really dead? Come on, Disney. Don't be a bone here, man. That's what I grew up on. Well, you know, after the movies themselves, all we had was the expanded universe from Dark Horse for so many years, and it really filled that empty hole when you left us. When you left us, Lucas, you left us, and then you came back and you gave us Jar Jar, and it made us sad, and we were so sad. And now you took away the expanded universe. Anyways, so here's the Interdictor. Again, great Imperial, gray plastic with a sweet black wash with some, you know, gray splotch naval. Let's call that naval camouflage because it basically is. Now this thing would be dope to airbrush up, do a nice little like kind of red fade up here and maybe around the interior lines here, like and even the bridge. You know, like it's activating its gravity rails, you know, to try to grab some stuff out of space. And then there's the ginormous hangar and the other gravity wells underneath it. Again, really great looking ship, and its engine's right back there. Now, it's not the fastest ship in the fleet, and it certainly isn't the most offensive output, but it's got a lot of utility. You know, of course, we all know that this thing's kind of bananas in what it does. So here is the cards for it. Or here's the upgrade stuff here. Now I already assembled the dial, and there's your gravity well and your gravity flash token, and they got two different ones. So like if both players have one, you can kind of keep track of which one's which. And then there's your defensive tokens, and it's got a contain option. It doesn't come standard, as you're going to see here in a second as well. So let's jump right into the cards themselves. Well, let's get a look at this bad boy on the stand. Now it's not the large stand. This is the same stand as a Victory, of course, but you know, don't let it fool you. It's still a good ship. It's still got a lot of utility, like I was saying. Now, if we take a look at the fire arc right here, you're right at about a 90 as well. It's not the super wide one like we see with the Star Destroyer sometimes, but it's pretty decent. It's a little bit more than 90. It's probably an obtuse angle of some sort, maybe a 100, maybe a 105. Hard to tell right there, but it's pretty close. And then of course you've got these ones right here, which are also look to be obtuse, and then that's definitely going to be an acute angle right there, probably checking in around 75, maybe even 65 right there. So add that up and you should get 360. That's what math says, and math's never wrong, obviously. So assemble this bad boy, give you an idea of the size of the two ships together. So here's your Interdictor, and here's your Liberty. Obviously different base size, but when you look at it, they're about the same size ship, slightly. Well, once you compare them tip to tip, they're about the same size ship. They're just on a different stand there, okay? So just to give you an idea. So there's that. Now, as far as upgrade cards go, what do we got? We've got officially 14 upgrade cards and 18 tokens. So a little bit less than the other than the Liberty, but not too crazy. So here is your two ship cards. Now, obviously not as offensive as the Liberty, but it's a little bit tougher. Got 9 hull, double contains, brace, and an evade right there. Your anti-squadron is going to be a black and a blue. Over here, just a blue, but it's got more medium range output with all the blues right there, more long range output with all the reds right here. So kind of like a pick your poison type deal right here. I feel like speed wise, well, we could tell he's slow. He's slow and purposeful. He's doing his thing. But as far as upgrades go, you've got what? An officer. We got a support. Or excuse me, an officer. And then we got support team, got an offensive, we got the gravity right here, and then we got an ion over here. The only thing that's different is double gravity tokens. I think that's what they're called. What are those bad boys called? I forget already. Those are the gravity wells. They are called Experimental Retrofit. So these could cascade over to other cards in the future. So Experimental Retrofit and an ion right there. So there's our starting lineup for the ships. Now, as far as upgrade cards go, we got a new commander, Constantine with a K. A couple of oldies but goodies, engineering team. We've seen that one before. Leading shots. We've also, let's go fighter coordination team. It's going to be a new one we're going to talk about here in a second. Then we got 2 ion slots, leading shots in the MS-1 ion cannon, which we've already talked about in the last ship. However, leading shots is a repeat. Quad laser turrets as well, also a repeat. We've seen that one before. So there's those. Then we've got Flight Commander Admiral Titus, which seems a little situational. Commandant Arxo, and then the experimental cards, which we're going to do last. And there's only one title card, the Interdictor. So Constantine's kind of cool. At the start of the status phase, for each enemy ship at 1 to 5 of at least 2 friendly medium or large ships, you may increase or decrease the enemy ship's speed by 1 to a minimum of speed 1. So don't get it down to 0 where they can't use their defensive dice, but it's got some utility and some combo ability there, I feel like. Fighter Coordination Team, one of my new favorite upgrades. After you execute a maneuver, you may select a number of unengaged friendly squadrons up to your squadron value. At close medium, those squadrons may move a distance of 1. So kind of like a free, hey, catch up with mothership here, get into range, or maybe if you're already at close medium, maybe get you closer to the target before you activate during the fighter phase, and therefore hopefully deliver a punishing torpedo salvo or something like that, bomber run. Leading shots, obviously a good card. MS-1 ion cannons, we talked about that. Quad laser cannons, also gives you counter. Flight Commander, during your activation, you can resolve your flight command after you execute a maneuver, so it gives you a little bit of utility there as well. Admiral Titus may be catching up to squadrons that need to activate or something like that. Admiral Titus, at the start of your first round, you may change one enemy ship's speed by 1, but at the start of your first round, I feel like that just kind of sets you up in the beginning. Commandant Arxo, another friendly ship at distance 1 to 3 reveals a command. You may exhaust this card to gain 1 command token of the same type. Now, here's a question for you. I've looked everywhere, and as far as I can tell, you can always use an upgrade card if you haven't activated that ship. So I haven't found anything to the contrary. Maybe it's in the FAQ, new recent FAQ that I haven't checked yet. But as far as I can tell, because there's one of these experimental cards that I feel like you kind of lets you do that, because otherwise it's kind of pointless. So somebody fact check me on that. I believe that is the case. I haven't been able to find it in print. Everything I found about upgrade cards just basically says, hey, you ready them, hey, stuff like that. Not necessarily that they have to be on an active ship. So I would like to find that. Somebody please fact check me on that one, because that obviously gets better if that is the case. Interdictor, when a ship activates, you may exhaust this card to ready one other upgrade card equipped on the ship, which also leads me to believe that that is the case for an upgrade card. Now, this being a title might be a little different, but I feel like that's kind of how this is supposed to work, because now you want to use this in combo with some other things, most likely some of this experimental stuff, which I'm going to show you right here. So here's the 4 experimental cards that are coming in hot that have a lot of people excited, because they do have that utility factor to them. So you got the Gravwell Projector. Before deploying fleets, place 1 Gravwell token anywhere in the play area. And remember, play area is different from setup area. So your play area is the whole table, right? Your setup area is the area that's not the 3x4. Remember, the whole table is the 6x4. So that's a very important distinction to make, so keep that in mind. When a ship deploys at distance 1 to 3 of a Gravwell token, the speed dial must be set to 0. So where your setup area is where you actually set up your stuff, your play area is pretty much anywhere. So you can put this, I don't think you can put this in the setup area, so you can put it over on the side or like in the front or something like that to kind of dictate a little bit more of what your opponent is going to do for the attack. Like if you see them massing on one side, well, or if you suspect they're going to mass, or you suspect they're going to go to the right, well, you can put this thing, like, if they're corvettes or something, you can put this thing over there and it kind of slows them down, because you have to do it before deploying fleet. So it's kind of like does your enemy, you kind of like turn off a part of the board, I feel like. So I like that. Grav shift reroute before deploying fleets. Again, place 1 grav shift token anywhere in the play area before deploying fleets. After deploying fleets, you may move each obstacle at distance 1 to 3 of that token to within distance 2 of that obstacle's current location. Obstacles cannot overlap tokens into obstacles or ships. So you can't do dirty, but you can still move stuff around, and if you see them on a heading, basically you can force collisions in the next activation step or something like that. I kind of like it. It's got a little bit of play. So before deploying fleets, so when you go to deploy fleets, the obstacles are already going to be on the table, so you know where the obstacles are. So you're going to throw down the graph shift token, and that's going to be that. So it gives you a little bit of dirtiness and more stuff that your opponent has to think about. So here's the graph well token, and here's the graph shift token, just to give you an idea which ones to look out for. Remember, they have a red or a blue counterpart depending on how you go. Targeting Scrambler. Now this is another reason I say you can use the upgrade cards even if the ship isn't active, because when a friendly ship at distance 1 to 3 is defending at close range, during the spend defense token step, you may exhaust this card to force the attacker to re-roll up to 4 dice of your choice, right? So I kind of feel like this wouldn't exactly behoove the Interdictor. This actually helps your fleet, so I feel like that's a thing. Therefore, you can use these upgrade cards at that point. Now, it never dawned on me, never even came up in a game. I never even had the chance to want to use an upgrade card until I read these, the cards coming in a new expansion. So that's why I'm curious about it. And I did the bookwork and I couldn't find the answer. So hopefully somebody has something more definitive out there. And then you got the G8 Experimental Projector. Before an enemy ship at distance 1 to 5 resolve, that's 12 inches, resolves the determined course step, you may exhaust this card to temporarily reduce its speed by 1 to a minimum of speed 0 until the end of the maneuver. Again, another reason why I think you can use these upgrade cards even if your ship isn't active, because boom, right there, your enemy ship is doing something. You're like, hey, no, before you do that, slow down. You know what I'm saying? So somebody fact check me on that. That's the way I believe it is. So that is all of the upgrade cards for the new Interdictor expansion for Star Wars Armada. That's wave 4. We just did wave 3. We also did X-Wing wave 9. First look unboxing it as well here on the channel. So check out all the great FFG Star Wars goodness that's available here on Spiky Bits this week.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.